In an exclusive interaction with Ashwin Mohan, Rohit Chatterji, JP Morgan India's managing director and head of investment banking, also adds that the big IPOs are unlikely in the next 6 months, but may return if there is a stable government post the general elections. Let's hear him out.
I think it started off slow, but it's ending on a high. As the markets on the public side have remained dislocated, we've seen a fair bit of exits, partly sponsor-owned, partly strategic through the M&A market. So, also looking at what our pipeline is, we've announced a couple of transactions, and many of them have had some financial sponsor investment in them. And I think the next year also the trend looks set to continue.
In early 2014, could you pick your top 3 sectors as far as maximum deal activity is concerned? I want you to pinpoint them.
Early 2014, I think there are more in industrials. There is still a dominant Indian consumption story that plays itself out in certain underlying sectors that I think will continue. And I'm seeing technology come back. Now, as Indian companies have started to really, scale up to a certain extent, and B, really have certain breakthroughs around a couple of underlying subsectors, we're starting to see investments in technology, strategic M&A in technology pickup.
On the equity offerings front, do you expect any sort of activity in terms of IPOs? 2013 was quite lull on that front. 2014, do you expect a return in the IPO market?
I think it'll be back-ended into the year. The first set of capital raising is likely to happen from companies that are large, liquid, well-traded, with existing investor interest, that need capital for a number of reasons. I think those will come in first. They can be quickly executed. They can be priced off an existing pricing level in the market. Back into the year, depending on what happens to the sentiment after the elections, we might see IPOs come back. I don't necessarily see big ones coming in the first half.
Last 2 questions. We've seen a big deal on the MNC front, wherein GSK increased or upped its stake in the Indian arm. Do you see more such deals finding flavor with the other MNCs?
I think it is selective. I don't think it necessarily represents something that is applicable to all the MNCs in India. I can see the merit in it. Now, if you're able to buy more of a company that you already own, that you already know and control, in many cases it's a better use of your surplus capital than going and buying something at a 25% premium that may be subscale and that needs hard integration work. So I can imagine that for people looking still for growth, if this is a market that is growing within their portfolio, to buy more of what they already own is a sensible idea.
And finally, as a top deal maker, what are some of the regulatory aspects that concern you? Are there any clarifications that you would expect from the government so that it would provide a fillip to overall M&A activity?
I think that is dependent by sector. For instance, once the sectoral challenges around the telecom side get clarified and deals start to again be considered, I think that is one sector you should see some consolidation in. The others, I don't really see regulatory challenges as much as I see natural deal-related considerations around valuation, social issue, who's going to run the business, etc. But not as much regulatory challenges per se, except in telecom. And then in the whole power infrastructure sector, I think the challenges are more industry-wide than regulatory.